Khamzat Chimaev is once again making headlines, this time calling for a fight with Alex Pereira to become a two-division champion. In today's interview, Khamzat said, "Of course, I'd love to fight for the second belt. It's no secret. The guy who's got the belt at 205 now is a very good matchup for me. Except if I get reckless standing with him, Pereira's got a lot of power. But I've never been edged out in that area." He added that Pereira used to fight at 185 and then moved up to 205, and that he'd love to face him at light heavyweight. Khamzat also said he doesn't care whether the UFC gives him Imavov, RDR, or Hernandez next, as long as the money's right. His message was clear. If you think you're the best, you shouldn't care who you fight. Meanwhile, Garry has made it clear he has no interest in fighting Leon Edwards. He said, "I have no interest ever for him to earn any money off me doing all the hard work, being the more interesting fighter, and him getting any financial benefit. If he was willing to fight me for all or nothing, I'd fight in a heartbeat. I'd make sure he'd leave absolutely punched around, unconscious, and with no benefit." Jon Anik believes all the pressure is on Tom Aspinall heading in his fight against Ciryl Gane, saying Aspinall is the one who's got everything to prove this time.
I can't think of a bigger pressure spot in recent UFC memory. Anyway, I wrote this morning, Ken Flo, 12 days until one of the biggest pressure spots in UFC history as Tom Aspinall makes the first defense of his undisputed heavyweight title in Abu Dhabi. But given what the last 2 years have held for Tom Aspinall, he has fought 60 seconds in the last 2 years against Curtis Blades. Never mind the 1 year that he missed due to the injury after the first Curtis Blades. He is making the first defense of his undisputed title against Ciryl Gane, a very challenging heavyweight to fight in some respects, maybe a little bit less challenging in others. But I can't think of a bigger pressure spot in recent UFC memory. But, like, you know, if Renato Moicano can't afford to lose, then how would we describe Tom Aspinall's lack of affordability to suffer a loss on October 25th?
It would be a massive, massive upset, I think, on the level of a Matt Serra upset over George St. Pierre. So for him to lose to Ciryl Gane, I think would be wild. It would be crazy news. And I think that he might be feeling some of those expectations. You know, especially the UFC is kind of looking for him to be that next big thing at heavyweight. And if he loses it.
And finally, Frankie Edgar is furious with BKFC after he was told he didn't qualify to fight. The former UFC legend feels disrespected by the decision and isn't hiding his frustration.
I was training. I got for 6 to 7 weeks. I got a week out from the fight, and we get an email, or my manager, Ali, gets an email from someone from BKFC stating that the owner of BKFC is leaving for Manchester. He doesn't have a phone on him. He can't call you, but he'll call you eventually. But in the meantime, his doctor recommended I don't fight based on my age, consecutive TKO losses, my layoff, and my record, and not to mention that I passed every single one of my medicals. I did a whole ton of medicals. The promotion was trying to say they weren't getting my medicals, which is bullshit. They got all my medicals. So we sent them the medicals. Now, they did not send my medicals to the commission.
That's the most
at all.
That's the most
at all.
Part.
And I'm talking to some of the commission. He's like, we don't have your medicals. So like, what do you mean you can't fight? We don't have your medicals. They're the ones that okay the commission, right? So I gathered all my medicals and I gave them to them. And actually, I got a call from someone there, and they said I had the doctor from the commission look at your medicals, and he's like, "You look fantastic." That's what he said.
That's today's MMA Roundup. Khamzat aiming for double champ status. Garry firing at Leon Edwards. Anik putting the pressure on Aspinall, and Frankie Edgar clashing with BKFC.